We need to scale. Scaling is another one of those lovely buzzwords. Either save less or something else. We need to scale, and what scaling means in 9 out of 10 organizations, maybe even 99 out of 100, is scaling up. It's never about scaling down.
Never.
It's always about adding more people. Or even worse, we're just going to apply a scaling framework to an existing department or existing product organization, and we're not actually going to change anything.
Nope.
We're going to keep the status quo as is without changing. Now, this is where things start to go south really well, really fast and really well, depending on how you define it, right? If you add a scaling framework to an already existing organization without addressing the legacy behavior, it's probably going to be a very painful display of antipatterns and dysfunctions. And then the framework will get the blame.
It's always the framework's fault.
It's always the framework, yeah. But there's so much work to do. How about coming back to 80-20? How about figuring out the old Pareto analysis? How about figuring out how we can derive 80% of the value out of 20% of our backlog? Out of all that stuff that we can do, let's figure out what not to do, because we'll be saving a lot of energy, time, effort, but mostly money as well. Else you'll end up with like one of those Michelin man kind of products. They're very bloaty, fluffy, but does it really matter? Does it actually solve anything?
Yeah.
Probably not.
When you said the Michelin man, then I just imagined that you were at the gym yesterday doing your leg day.
You're calling me a Michelin man?
Maybe one day, if you maybe you bulk up a little bit. I mean, maybe you could
consider
get these guns one day.
I would consider Michelin man fat. Dungeons, lots of those in the book.
Yeah, lots of those in the book.
Anyway, but then at the end of the sprint planning is one of those sessions as well. And just as a reminder, sprint planning, time box. Just checking, let you think for a second. What's the time box again?
Well, it depends how long the sprint is, doesn't it, Sander?
It does not, no. It's 8 hours for a full month of sprints, usually shorter for shorter sprint, but the time box still remains. So let's say we have those 8 hours and we fully leverage them. We end up with a massive sprint backlog. And we've been going over, we should do this. We have so much time, we can do this, we can do that. And at the end, what's the question that's being asked? What's their sprint goal?
Yeah, what's the sprint goal?
Let's try to find some consistency between these. And you're not able to find any consistency with that. But there's so much work, there's no focus. The whole transparency and your ability to actually deliver something goes down the drain real fast.
Yeah, it's just a list of executables. When I go into a lot of new teams and I look at their sprint backlog, what I'll see is, Johnny's working on that, Jenny's working there, Steve's working on that. And actually, they're all working on completely separate things. They are a list of tasks to do. And then they'll try, because, hey, someone's told them they need a sprint goal. They'll, as Sander says, at the end of sprint planning, say, what can we think of that ties all those things together? And it will mean absolutely nothing. Every single time. Start with a sprint goal. If you, a nice, powerful question for a developer to ask a product owner or someone trying to help them define a sprint goal is why? What do you think the stakeholders are going to get out of that? What is the true problem? And then you can leave and we'll help solve it.
And how could this be a stepping stone toward our product goal?
Yeah.
And this question is valid no matter what framework you're using, right? Why is the work that we're doing valuable? It also creates more autonomy and purpose with the developers, with the product team, however you want to create it. But at least they understand. But if they don't understand the sense of purpose, why we're doing this and why this is important, it's the same as my kids. If I ask them to do something, the first question I'm going to get is why. And if they don't understand why, they're like, no, not going to do this.
Is to follow Sander's story there, to give you an example. You say to your kids, hey, can you get the table ready? And they just go, no. Well, obviously, until we've tidied the table, put the toys away and laid the cutlery out, you aren't going to get fed. And they suddenly realize, oh, hang on a minute, I need to do that. And the same works for developers. Tell them what they're aiming at, what problem they're trying to solve, and allow their creative brains to go wild.
Exactly. So scaling usually is your last option. Descale first, whether that's the product or the way the organization has been set up. Descale first and then start scaling organically.